Welcome to AXR Investments podcast. Today, we have an exciting episode lined up with a special guest, Jonathan Holmes, co-founder of Upstream Investment Partners, a powerhouse 200 advisor group within LPL Financial, and AXR Investments is proud to be part of Upstream and LPL Financial. In this episode, we dive into the world of investment advisory, exploring why establishing a trust is a game changer and uncovering the missed cash opportunity cost that too many investors overlook. If you're looking to sharpen your financial strategy, maximize opportunities, and gain insights from an industry leader, you won't want to miss this one. Before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a like. Your support helps us bring you more expert insights and valuable decisions. Let's get into it. Welcome to AXR Investment Podcast. Today, we have none other than Jonathan Holmes to accompany us. He's the reason I'm here at LPL, starting AXR Investments, and have this great opportunity to reach out to everybody. So without further ado, let us get to know our guest, Mr. Jonathan Holmes.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming, John. Really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for carving the time. I know you're a very busy man.
Yes,
so
sir.
I want to dive straight into it. I want to be respectful of your time. I would love to ask you a little bit just about, if you can tell us who really John is.
Who is John? Sometimes I don't even know who John is. So I'm a fifth generation Texan. I was born in a really small town, El Campo, Texas. My parents moved from there to Sugar Land when there wasn't much there. Sugar Land has turned into just a monstrous suburb of Houston. But I grew up there and I went to college at Southwestern University in Georgetown, Texas. And then from there, I started my professional career in this industry. I started in the business in 1992, simply with the intention of working in the business for 2 years and then going to graduate school after that. You know, most of the high-end grad schools for an MBA program require 2 years worth of work experience. So I thought I was just going to come into this business, get an MBA from somewhere fancy, and then move on with life after that. And after the 2 years, I was simply in love with the business, and financially, it really didn't make any sense to go and get an MBA and then move back into the professional career. I had built a pretty solid business in a short time frame and just loved what I was doing and never looked back.
That's amazing.
Yes,
That's
sir.
amazing how you thought you were going to use this as like a stepping stone, jumping board, and then all of a sudden it kind of engulfed you and taught you everything about it.
Exactly. I think 2 years in this business, you probably learn more in that time frame than going back to school and trying to
100%.
learn from a book. But it's just real world experience. I certainly believe I learned more just in those 2 years than I learned 4 years in college, and how would 2 more years at college make a difference?
I can definitely vouch for that. Before I got into this industry, I looked at finance a lot differently. And now after getting in it, it is such a huge, amazing world. And there's so many different avenues that you can master in. Finance is a great industry for almost anybody and everybody. Thank you so much for that. You can talk to us about your family as well.
Sure thing. So I have 2 amazing kids. Daughter Madeline, she's the oldest. She grew up in Austin, graduated from Westlake High School.
Wow.
She went to the University of Texas, graduated with honors,
Wow.
and just had a passion for little kids and got a degree in teaching. She taught in Austin for 2 years.
Wow.
And then from Austin, she moved up to Arlington, Virginia, and she's in her second year of teaching up in that part of the world. So she just loves what she does.
So what took her to Virginia? Was it her job?
No, 2 of her good friends that she went to high school with and college with at UT, they moved there right when they graduated, and she would go up there and visit them. She met a lot of people. I think she did a couple of vacations with them, big trips with big groups of young kids her age, and just decided to go up there and be a teacher and try something different in a different part of the world. And she truly loves it. So
that's amazing. I think it's also important, no matter how good your comfortable zone is, let it be Austin, Texas. I think it's really important to get out of that.
Exactly. Exactly.
As much as it's good to be in Austin, it's so much fun, I would say it is. Because like me, having lived all these different places, it's definitely shaped who I am. I would not be the same person if it was not for all the places that I've experienced, right?
Exactly. And then I also have a son. He's 2 years younger than the daughter, and he just graduated from LSU. He had an internship with a financial services company there his last semester, and he's working full-time, studying for his exams, etc. So he has a passion for this business, but he wants to do his own path and not come to work for our organization just yet. So I'm excited to see where the business takes him.
That's amazing. Yeah, I hope he follows in your footsteps and then also creates his own.
Without a doubt.
Thank you so much for sharing. Our surroundings and environment and the people we surround ourselves with really shape who we are. We're a result of that. It's always interesting to learn about not just the person, but their surroundings and who they grew up with. You could tell us 1 or 2 lessons or more that you learned from your parents.
Gosh, hard work. My parents were more blue collar-ish. We didn't grow up with a lot of money. The reality is I didn't know what a stock or a bond, any type of investments, that was just not part of our household, but they were both extremely hard workers. My dad had a pressure washing business, and I started working for him. It was hard, nasty work. Climb into machinery and come out soaked in oil and God knows what other kind of chemicals from head to toe. My mom was an artist, amazing artist. Do murals and big domes and houses and stuff. And she still has a passion for artwork. I think that's kind of what steered me in the direction of getting the college education, but not having to be in the heat of Texas and sweating, being covered in God knows what.
Anywhere other than Texas you've lived?
Yes, I lived in New Orleans for my first year of college. For me, it was just a rough place to try and focus on education with all of the extracurricular activities going on. I did well in school, but I really wanted to get back to Texas. And Texas was home to me, and stumbled across Southwestern University. It was just a really small environment at the time, but that was a phenomenal school, phenomenal education.
That's amazing. Yeah, so I guess your son followed in your footsteps to go to Louisiana at least.
That he did. He wanted to get out of Texas and go to SEC school in Bay, and LSU being right next door, I think that was a great fit for him.
So last personal thing, which is tell us a little bit about your hobbies, and I know you have some very interesting ones.
Number one hobby is saltwater fishing. I am a addict chasing big fish. I do it as often as I can, all over the place, but primarily in the Gulf of Mexico. Catch wahoo, swordfish, marlin, yellowfin tuna. That's my passion.
How long have you been doing it?
Oh gosh, I grew up fishing. So my grandfather had more like a fishing shack in Port O'Connor, Texas. To me, it's not about catching of the fish. It's more about being outside. I find that enjoyable. It's just being outside in nature. My favorite parts are the ride out and watching the sunrise, watching the sunset at night. And then at nighttime when you're out there, there is absolutely zero light pollution and just the Milky Way across the sky and seeing the stars and shooting stars all night long.
That is very interesting. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Okay.
Now that we've gotten to know who John is, let's get into the finance bit. How did John make his money? So tell us about you, your business.
So I started in the business just like anybody else. You go into a training program, you get licensed, and then from there you build out a client base and you're working for your clients, which I did and was very successful at. At some point early in my career, I got the old tap on the shoulder. Hey, we would like for you to be a branch manager. And from there is when I really started working with other financial advisors, whether it was the training, recruiting, and that's really what I have a passion for in the business. And then from there, I became a complex director and a regional director. And each time I would move up that corporate food chain, you're working with more and more financial advisors, and underneath you, then you have the complex directors and the branch managers, and just taking on more and more responsibility, if you will. What really drives me in the industry is working with and for the financial advisors. At some point, the company I was with got acquired by a really large financial services company, one of the biggest in the country, and I just didn't feel like I was a good fit for them. I believe in this industry as a fiduciary. It's your job to take to your clients what you believe is the best product, service that's going to fit that client's needs. At a firm with proprietary products, you're kind of forced into selling them something. And a lot of those firms, they just view you as a distribution network for their products. While you're a financial advisor, they view you as a distribution network. And if you work for a company that's manufacturing and producing products, you're selling their product. Whereas we, in our world, we're not limited in what we can take to our client, which I think is how the industry should be. When I left, I guess it was like late 2009, I kept in touch with 2 or 3 other regional directors. We all left that organization around the same time, and we would talk to each other, hey, what are you looking at? What are you doing? And at some point, we decided that we would start our own financial services company. And back in 2010, we formed Upstream Investment Partners. Prior to that, for about 6 months, we had gone out and did phone calls with all the different broker-dealers in the industry. And we decided at that point in time to partner with a mid-sized firm that was family-owned, family-operated, and they were a great place, phenomenal management, and a great firm. They decided to take a chance on us. 3 guys that were regional directors for a previous firm that at that point in our career, we didn't have any clients. Once you got to that level, you had to pretty much give up all your clients and work with financial advisors. It was 3 of us with just this dream, and from there, we built Upstream. I think we recruited over 200 financial advisors to that firm, making us, if you look, it's at LPL, we call them large enterprise network, super OSJ, super production groups in the industry. We had built one of the largest that was out there, and just a lot of fun. We enjoy it. We originally started with where we would have a branch office like the one that you work in, but our idea was there was something missing in the independent space at that time, and it was the independent place was the place to be. There weren't many firms that had branch offices to compete with, like the regional broker-dealers, wirehouses, etc. So how we really started was taking down real estate, Class A real estate, hiring sales support, really making it almost like a plug-and-play for a financial advisor to make a transition. And that model seemed to work. And that's initially how we started our firm and grew the firm. And then from there, we've brought a lot of different advisors over from other independents in different parts of the country where they work alone, but they're part of our group. And as Upstream Investment Partners, one of our taglines is independent but not alone. And we just like to bring advisors into the independent space, but give them a lot of additional support that they wouldn't receive by doing it by themselves. And from a compensation standpoint, we're not taking money away from them. It's just providing them a much higher level of support and a culture of being part of something that they don't get by being by themselves.
100%. And I definitely felt that coming from Merrill Lynch, big wirehouse, and I haven't had the independent experience right before that. So with Merrill Lynch, I would say even it's just a lot different and a lot better. The support, the resources, and it's really amazing how you identify this need, because it's a huge need, and it's really easy to get lost in the noise because there's so much noise in our industry. There's so much stuff that's going on, changing, moving. So you're always trying to stay on top of the trends, on top of what's going on top of the news. And to sit back and to think about, okay, what's actually happening, let's take the noise out, and to come up with a solution for that and provide that, that's really amazing, and really only a master can do that. So thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everything that you've been trying to do with Upstream, I can definitely vouch for it, and I definitely feel that independent but not alone.
Right.
The resources, the staff, the support, it's been one of the best that I've ever experienced. The UI on both the client and our facing is just amazing. Really glad you brought me over.
I appreciate that you put your faith in us to make the move, and I can't claim all the credit. Our move to LPL back in 2022, we made the decision that we had to find a new broker-dealer. We just felt like we had outgrown the one that we were with, and we didn't feel like we knew we needed access to more products, better technology, etc. And we went out and did the same due diligence that we did in 2009, and we opted to partner with LPL. And in joining them, we're one of their large enterprise networks, as they call groups of advisors within that organization. And they've been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the working relationship that we have with the firm, their executives, their business development group, is like nothing else that we saw on the street. But it's allowed us to be able to bring advisors like you over that we were missing at our previous firm. I know that you do a fair amount of, let's call it, alternative investments, and the product lineup at LPL matches anybody's on the street. And I think that in the industry, although it's changing quite a bit, if you look at the big wirehouses, a lot of the advisors there have this misconception of the independent space that, oh, I'm not going to get the support that I have at ABC Munster Wirehouse. I'm not going to have the technology, etc. And the reality is that simply is not true. It's the technology at this organization, as far as I have seen, is best in class. LPL invested over $450 million in technology last year. This year, they're going to spend over $500 million in technology. And
wow,
that's more than any firm on the street is going to spend this year. And that's on new technology. That's not the maintenance of our systems. That's investment in new technology for the financial advisor to be able to serve their client in a better way.
That was one of the things that I was shocked at. Was I thought I was probably working with the best of the best technology, and then to my surprise, I realized
right.
I wasn't.
Maybe not.
Yeah. So now I want to switch gears and learn from you and ask you for your experience. Since you've had such a robust career in our industry, I know we are bound by confidentiality, which we take very seriously. So without revealing too many specific details, I'd love to learn finance details for our viewers.
Okay.
That they can take. What are some of the things that you have seen that worked good and not recommend, right? So anything like that kind of comes to mind, would love to hear that.
I like to keep finance and investing as simple as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I've learned over the years is the business is simple, and it's when working with the clients, but what is their risk tolerance and what are the goals, and just building a plan around it's easy for them to understand. And a lot of financial advisors, they recommend products based on returns. Like, hey, look at this hot mutual fund or whatever product it may be. Look at what it did last year. And that simply doesn't work. What did good last year, highly unlikely is going to do good this year. And it's all about diversification, whether it's large cap growth, large cap value, mid, small, etc. putting a little bit of international in there, fixed income, where do we need to be in fixed income? Well, today, short and midterm, just because of interest rates and how they are, there's no reason to go out and buy a 30-year bond when the yield on that's going to be the same as something shorter term. But it's also time in the market and not timing of the market. I know that's a phrase used in our industry a lot, but it really is true. And I believe that managing the money is a part of it, but I believe it's more managing the client's emotions. And we're their financial psychiatrist. I've seen this in the business. When the market is getting crushed, that's when everybody wants to get out. And that client that got out is the same client that wants to get back in when the market is hitting new highs. And they're following that herd mentality, and that's how they get hurt. But it's our job to talk them through those hard times. And if built a financial plan and we have the portfolio allocated towards their risk tolerance, we get through those troubled times, and then we also stay where we need to be in the positive times. So it's just more about working with the client, talking about their risk tolerance, what they can handle, but managing their emotions through the different market cycles. If we can do that and do a good job at it, the clients are going to feel good.
I'm glad you mentioned this, and you're absolutely right. And the funny thing is, everybody knows this. Sell high, buy low, right?
Right.
Time in the market, not time
Right.
in the market.
Exactly.
Yet, knowing all of that, our human nature and our human brain, when we see the bleeding on the wall,
Oh, we do.
every
do.
fiber of our being is thinking about just taking the money out, pulling out, right?
Yeah, we do. And I think our most recent experience with that was COVID. I mean, we really didn't know what was going on. As owning our firm and the previous roles that I have, I work with clients, yes, but the clients are financial advisors. And it was, in addition to talking to clients all day long, it was also talking to financial advisors and managing our emotions through that as well. And if we didn't, people that panicked and ran for the exit with their investments, that rally back was just as fast almost as the fall. So managing
within a quarter, like next quarter.
Yep, exactly. And you can't time that. Okay, I'm going to get back in when it turns around. Well, if it happened in a quarter, when did you get back in? Kind of a deal.
Absolutely right. So I think one thing that we're touching on that I wanted the viewers to take away would be the cash opportunity cost that a lot of people experience or don't realize.
Yeah, now you have interest rates that are higher, right? So you go back when we had zero interest rates, what good was your money doing sitting on the sidelines other than getting deteriorated by inflation? A dollar then is worth less than a dollar today. Cash on the sidelines are not a great thing. There is a portion of every allocation that needs to be in cash, i.e., short-term expenditures that we have. How much am I going to spend this year on? That's what cash is for. And cash for the safety, but there are a lot of alternatives to that cash position that we have access to. Whether it's, short-term bond funds to get a little bit higher yield than cash, whether it's looking at fixed annuities or different bond funds, what have you. But cash to me is it's not an investment. I mean, it has its place in a portfolio,
right,
but not a big part of an overall strategy.
100%. Yeah, I think you said it best that your yearly expenses, so meaning if you have a business you're buying, a property you're buying, okay, maybe you might want to have a little bit of cash for that.
Without a doubt. And a perfect example, I spoke to a young client last week, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna buy a house next year. And while he had a great retirement portfolio on his non-qualified account that he was going to use for the home deposit, he's going to use all of it in a year. And I'm like, that's coming out of the market. But rather than going completely out of the market, we're just going with investments that have a lot of downside protection, etc. So that's where cash comes in, but there are other alternatives. So if I know I'm doing something next year and I'm going to put $200,000 down on a house or $500,000 down on a house, I don't want to risk that in the short-term market. Now, if I'm buying a house in 10 years, we're investing for that goal over that 10-year period. And that's more of like when we're doing retirement planning or we have young kids and we want to put money away for their college, we're going to be much more aggressive with those funds, knowing that time is on our side.
Right. And I think you said it best is a dollar today is not going to be worth the same dollar in the future.
And we've certainly seen that the last 4 to 5 years.
Right. So I think what people forget also is we're doing investing to beat inflation.
Absolutely.
That's the only ways that we know how to beat inflation. Cash is a guaranteed loss against inflation.
It can be, absolutely.
Right now, of course, the market, the interest rates are super high, which is amazing. And like you mentioned, when I first entered the business, the same money market were 0.15.
Exactly.
Which are 4.5,
right.
Roughly 4. They were
right.
5 even. That was mind-boggling to see from 0.15 to this number. So definitely we can understand that for right now.
Right.
This scenario will not last, as no scenario lasts forever.
No, I think everything is cyclical, right? You bull market cycles, on average, they last 5 years. We're 2.5 years into a bull market cycle. Now, not all of them are a 5-year period. Sometimes they last 3, sometimes they last 8, but over the last, since the beginning of the stock market, it's a 5-year average. It's everything's cyclical. Interest rates go up, interest rates go down. Stock market goes up, stock market goes down. Over time, though, while it's doing this, it's on the path higher and higher, always.
So thank you for sharing that. I think that's a huge lesson for our viewers to learn. And I would love to kind of hammer that topic down to where, in your experience, in your history, what are some of the good and the bad that you have seen where your friends, your clients, and your advisors' clients have had trust and not had trust? So what would be like a good and a bad scenario?
This just came to mind, and it's not a client, it's a financial advisor. And as we've encouraged, now we're pretty much forcing all of our financial advisors to have a death and disability plan. And what that does is, if you're going home and you get hit by a car tomorrow, what happens to your business? There's a value to your business, the same with a client that they own a dental practice or what have you. Whatever it may be, if you don't have that in place, your business could be worthless.
Right.
And you look at a financial advisor that spends 20, 30, 40 years plus in this business, that's their most valuable asset that they have for their family. Recently, we had a financial advisor pass away. He did not have a formal agreement in place, although he had another advisor that they shared some business with, and it was their intention for that business to go to him. There wasn't anything in writing. And while it was resolved, it was a mess for a period of time. And the same thing, I've seen the same thing happen with clients without a will or a trust in place. I intended for this money to go here all along, talked about it all the time. Client passes away, and where they wanted that money to go to did not happen and could not happen just because of the law and the way things are structured. And if the clients do not take the time, whether it's through a will or a trust, to point out exactly where they want their assets to go, they have no control over it.
The returns don't really matter then, do they?
No. Well, yes and no. It's just messy if you don't. You have a financial plan, right? What is your death plan? What happens when you're gone? Where do you want that money to go? How do you want it to go? Is it to kids, spouse, charities, etc.?
And then also, I think it's very unfair and unjust to the family because they're going through the worst time of their lives. They've lost their most cherished loved ones.
Right.
And not only are you mourning, you're juggling through paperwork and talking to lawyers, attorneys, advisors, courts to figure
and all of that is avoided. All of that is avoided by titling accounts properly, whether simple transfer on death to a trust. If everything is titled properly, unfortunate event, somebody passes away, you don't have to spend any time with lawyers. You don't have to spend time going through probate. Everything can just get to where it needs to be, not overnight, but pretty much overnight. I mean, it's a fast process just having that plan in place.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, John. Love to get to know you. I've got to know you more, I think, during this time than I have working with you, so that's something. And I wanted to give you the floor. If there's anything else you want to share, anything else that you want us to walk away with about you, about business, about money, anything that you would think the viewers would get value out of.
That's a big question. I don't know how much more I can add, but this is just an exciting industry. It's a lot of fun. I have a passion for it. Probably devote too many hours of my life to it on a daily and a weekly basis, but I enjoy it. And when an advisor decides to join our organization, it means a lot to us. So you're putting your financial future in our hands, and we appreciate that. And we're extremely grateful that you decided to join us. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and working with you. And for me, it's exciting having younger people come into our industry. We are an aging and a dying industry. If you look, the average age of a financial advisor is mid-60s to late 60s, and we just don't have enough young people coming into the business, and we view advisors like you as the future of our organization. So we're excited that you're here, and it's exciting getting to watch you grow and build a business and serve your clients. So we thank you for being here.
And thank you so much, John. Really do appreciate it. It's been an honor, and look forward to keep making you proud. And yeah, thank you for everything.
Thank you. All right.
That was awesome. Like, subscribe, and or share to help us grow and reach more people, achieve financial independence and financial literacy. Thank you so much.